Hello. This is Dirty Trucking. Currently at work. Don't have a load yet because I've said in my last video, the truck needed an inspection. I had my days off. The inspection is actually today. So I'm waiting for this guy to get here and go ahead and inspect this truck. This company requires not only on top of the annual yearly DOT inspection, this company requires, I believe it's monthly, quarterly inspections they have here on the driver's trucks. So I'm currently waiting here to have this truck inspected. It's supposed to be here at 9. It's after 9 here, so he's late. So let me tell you what this video is going to be about. And I've touched on this subject a long time ago. I got on here yesterday talking about the decision the National Labor Relations Board made. Let me tell you what they're failing to do when I file these complaints. They are failing to acknowledge that there's gaslighting and ambient abuse going on. That is the legal term for what has been happening to me. That is the legal term for what has been going on, and that is exactly what they're doing. The ambient abuse is being done in employment, co-workers, people I interact with in trucking and elsewhere. So in case you don't know what ambient abuse is, it's a form of intimidation or psychological abuse. That's what's been going on here. And you know, if you think on it, what's been happening, what I've been on here making these videos about, the weird shit with my Ring camera, never catching nobody on film, but I noticed they've been going in there, or the camera wasn't working right, or I'm telling you stuff come up missing. That's psychological abuse. What they're doing is trying to make it seem like I'm crazy or going crazy, which is psychological abuse. And I live here in the state of Michigan, and I am wondering why, after all these years, this defined term, ambient abuse, gaslighting, has not brought any of these employers that I've been with up on charges. You want to know why? Because they use the fact that they say they can't prove it. Yes, you can. I just told you what they did. Why don't you go question them and ask them why they did it? Now, what they can't prove is who's coming in my apartment, because I can't prove it. You want to know why? Because they've been hacking into my computers. They're hacking into everything I have. They're hacking into my phone. They hack into my tablet. I just busted up my laptop I had at home because I came home one day and now it wasn't even working right. That's after I left. They're hacking into everything. Psychological warfare. So, if you don't know what that is, gaslighting and ambient abuse, look it up. But I have found a definition that is befitting in the Urban Dictionary. And while I'm sitting here waiting on this inspection, and this is exactly what happened at Warren Truck Plant. They had all the evidence they needed. How dare you sit up and tell me you couldn't prove what was going on? So to me, it seems like you were part of the gaslighting and ambient abuse, the psychological abuse yourself. Right here in Michigan, my home state. It happened over the road. So I'm going to read, because ambient abuse and gaslighting is basically the same thing. They associate it as the same thing pretty much. They're along the lines the same thing. So when they talk about one, they were usually talking about the other. So let me tell you the definition. I found this on the urbandictionary.com. And I'm going to read that for you. And this is another thing they said I couldn't do. They thought I couldn't read over the road. They also thought I couldn't see. That was a form of psychological abuse. That's intimidation. I don't know why they were doing it. Okay. Ambient abuse in the Urban Dictionary is defined as a form of intimidation or psychological abuse. sometimes called gaslighting. And listen to me closely, because a lot of this probably has been happening to you. It's sometimes called gaslighting, where false information is presented to the victim, making them doubt their own memory, perception, and quite often their sanity. The classic example of ambient abuse is to subtly toy with someone's environment in a way that you know they're sure to notice, but then deny knowing anything about it. Well, ain't that what I've been complaining about? And to explain that they must be imagining things when they challenge these changes. Doing this on a long-term and or methodical, sorry about that, I almost got tongue-tied saying it, methodical basis, as opposed to the occasional practical joke with intent to cause distress and harm, would be considered ambient abuse. Let me read that last sentence again. Doing this on a long-term and or methodical basis, as opposed to the occasional practical joke with the intent to cause distress and harm, could be considered ambient abuse. What has been going on with me has been on a long-term basis. It is not a joke, and it's not an occasional joke. This is long-term. So it is, in fact, indeed ambient abuse. The definition goes on to state a more psychological definition of ambient abuse is an increasing frequency of systematically withholding factual information from and or providing false information to the victim, having the gradual effect of making them anxious, confused, and less able to trust their own memory and perception. Then here's an example they provided. Your spouse begins telling you things that never really happened. For instance, he says that last week he told you he was going to the bar with his buddies this Monday night, but you never remember him telling you that. Or maybe your boss gets angry. Hint, hint, previous job. Hint, hint, boss taking the side of someone doing ambient abuse. Hint, hint, last previous employer. Hint, hint. Or maybe your boss gets angry because you didn't prepare the report he asked you to. When you remind him that he usually prepares the particular report, he snaps that he told you to take care of it a few days ago because he was too busy. However, you know he never asked you to do so. Both of these could be considered ambient abuse. Ambient abuse is psychological abuse. And that is exactly what's been going on here in Michigan. And the National Labor Relations Board, and I'm puzzled to why this investigator didn't identify that to bring that employer up on charges. That is exactly what the National Labor Relations Board did with the Warren truck plant case. That is exactly what was going on. And it could have been proven and was proven. They just didn't want to acknowledge they had the proof, that there was proof, and they didn't want to do anything about it. So in my, from what I'm seeing, they were part of the abuse. Because let me tell you what else was happening at that previous employer. Now, I worked at Warren truck plant. Let me show you how extreme they went with that psychological the abuse. Now, I worked at Warren truck plant. Warren truck plant made the Dodge Rams. I'm going to show you one. This is what I used to. That truck there is a Dodge Ram pickup truck. That's what I used to make when I worked at Warren truck plant. This is a newer model. I worked there from 99 to the time I quit in 04. But that's what I used to make. The Dodge Ram pickup truck. And let me tell you how I know that someone at that other job was playing the psychological abuse the ambient abuse. You know, we all got different models of cars we like, But at that job, I began to see more and more of those particular model trucks show up there. Everybody was showing up there with the Dodge Ram pickup trucks. The company even got one to use as their vehicle to go service the trucks. They pulled in there with a Dodge Ram pickup truck. One or two employees with one, okay, that's nothing for me to worry about. But when more and more employees started pulling in there with the Dodge, when I walked in there one day, it looked like I was in a Dodge Ram plant. It was nothing but a yard full of Dodge Ram pickup trucks. That's where I used to work at. That is what they do to cause psychological intimidation and abuse. You tried to play with me mentally. You tried to make me snap? You thought seeing these Dodge Ram pickup trucks was going to make me act some kind of way? No. You are, in fact, participating in causing ambient abuse. Deliberately. It is psychological intimidation. And while I'm sitting here, I'm going to look up gaslighting. See if I can get a quick meaning again for you. And I did a story on gaslighting. If I can find it, I'm going to repost it to my website. If you want to find some nice reading, check out my website, notjustforlaughs.com. That is NOTJUST, the number 4, LAUGHS. Notjustforlaughs.com. Let me see if I can look up gaslighting real quick. All right, here we are. Got a quick definition. See why these terms are so similar in what's going on. Gaslighting. Here's the definition of gaslighting. And here we go again. First sentence relates it to ambient abuse. A form of intimidation or psychological abuse, sometimes called ambient abuse, where false information is presented to the victim, making them doubt their own memory, perception, and quite often their sanity. The classic example of gaslighting, which is what's been going on at my apartment building, when they've been placing stuff on my truck, I'm finding stuff on the truck. They claim nobody came in the yard, ain't nothing on video. Okay, let me read further. Let me continue. The classic example of gaslighting is to switch something around on someone that you know they're sure to notice, but then deny knowing about it, and explain that they must be imagining things when they challenge these changes. A more psychological definition of gaslighting is an increasing frequency of systematically withholding factual information from and or providing false information to the victim. Same definition as ambient abuse. Having the gradual effect of making them anxious, confused, and less able to trust their own memory and perception. And went on to use the same previous examples of the one I just read about your spouse telling you something that they didn't tell you, and your boss asking you to do something that he didn't ask you to do. Now, all the videos I've been posting of everything that's been happening, all the things I've been saying is happening, is clearly an evidence trail that there is, in fact, gaslighting and ambient abuse going on here with me, my family, and here in the state of Michigan. And I want to know, why would you do this? Why would this state allow this? Why has this state not identified that this is what's going on based on what I'm saying? Why do I have to look up a definition and read it on social media to find out what this is, when here you are in an office paid to discover this, to know this, to prevent this, to stop this, and to bring charges against this? Not participate in it. Be the problem. Be doing it. Acting like you don't know what's going on. What are you doing? Attorneys, National Labor Relations Board. All the law enforcement agencies I have contacted with the stuff that's going on. Sit there, you play like you don't know what this is. And you do. Ambient abuse and gaslighting, in fact, indeed, is real and is going on. This is Dirty Trucking, and I want to bring that to your attention. That previous employer think because that case was dismissed, you got away with something. You didn't get away with a damn thing. This is real. I can bring you up on charges. And matter of fact, I can report this even further, that nobody even discovered that this is what this is. This is exactly what you did. That is exactly what the boss was doing. He allowed me to be threatened. He allowed that guy to mouth off to me. And then they turn around and act like it was me. That's exactly what was going on. When I complained about stuff that was showing up on my truck, nobody knows how that happened. When I complained to the apartment manager that things was taken and damaged in my apartment, they pretended like they don't know what's going on. It is psychological abuse. You're going to be held accountable for it. Charges going to be brought against you. You're not going to fucking get away with this. You've been doing this shit to me for years. This motherfucking shit gonna stop. This is Dirty Trucking out. Bringing awareness to psychological abuse that's going on and maybe happening to you. Do your research, people. Look this shit up. I suggest the government do the same and put a stop to this. I want this video to reach all the way to the president and vice president of the United States. There's gaslighting and ambient abuse going on with me here in this state. And probably long before I was working for Warren Truck making them Dodge Rams. Dirty Trucking, peace out.